much do you think that guy weighed? The first guy running out?
Probably 290.
Less than the other guy.
Probably 290.
320. And you're not
full force too.
And you get
hit. He did not fumble the sound equipment. So that's very impressive.
Glad the guy's okay.
Right.
Ouch.
Right.
Man, oh man.
Check and see how he's doing.
What a story he's got now. All right, Heather, thank you. Straight ahead, Mitt Romney and Rudy Giuliani couldn't be more different. So why are they both on President-elect Donald Trump's shortlist for Secretary of State? We're going to talk about that.
And Starbucks, you know, is all about tolerance. Unless you support Mr. Trump, the coffee giants move to shut down the Trump Cup movement.
Uh-oh.
At the Joseph A. Bank Black Friday sale, doorbusters start Wednesday. All sports shirts, including Traveler, just $3 for $99. All signature Pima cotton sweaters, $2 for $49. And Traveler twill pants are $2 for $99. Plus,
number one, do you think the thing that sticks out with me first is he was all over the Russia problem. Russia had not really emerged that much as a big counter to us, but now they certainly have.
Yeah, Governor Romney, he's on the record. He has been for years, recognizing that the Russians have a national agenda that is in many ways contrary to the United States, what the United States is trying to do in the Middle East, in Eastern Europe. It's a threat to NATO, et cetera. So Mitt Romney is sort of he's the consummate diplomat, too. Many people in the Senate like him from both sides of the aisle. And so, and he sort of has a softer touch. He's more nuanced. He is more careful with his words. And so President-elect Trump might decide that Mitt Romney might be the way to go, especially if he's got some...
Yeah, he said he likes his look. The problem is Donald Trump definitely disagrees as of now with his view on Russia, even though it looks like Mitt Romney is closer to the truth. The problem is, too, is that these two couldn't have been ruder to each other about the foundation of each other's character.
That's true, and that makes it interesting as well. I mean, I think that if he went with Governor Romney, he's going to show everybody else that he's not, he doesn't have the thin skin that a lot of the media and a lot of the left try to paint him as sort of petty and sort of having this vendetta against political enemies. I mean, if he went with Mitt Romney, he's saying, no, I went with somebody who I think is going to be the best for the country.
But it's true, he's got to represent Donald Trump's policies, and he says he doesn't agree with them. Rudy Giuliani has got an aggressive worldview, but very similar to Donald Trump, correct?
Much more similar, yes, that's right.
In one way in which they both hate the Iran deal, and they both, and one was against the Iraq War, and one was for the Iraq War. Of course, Rudy is still for it.
Yeah, Rudy Giuliani, I mean, he has said that his foreign policy priority is going to be fighting ISIS. He's critical of the Iran deal. Of course, Governor Romney was critical of the Iran deal as well. But he's going to be a tougher nut, I think, to crack getting through the Senate because of some of his foreign ties. So that's going to be a harder process.
That might be interesting. And you can't forget about Ambassador Bolton and Governor Nikki Haley are also in contention. Rebecca Heinrichs, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, coming up straight ahead, flying around the holidays, well, it's already a nightmare, and it's about to get a whole lot worse starting today. And President-elect Donald Trump demanding an apology from the entire cast of Hamilton.
We, sir, we are the diverse America who are alarmed and anxious that your new administration will not protect us. Our planet...
Should the cast apologize? We'll debate it and sing about it.
Think of what I'm saying. We can work it out and get it straight. I'll say goodnight. We can work it out. We can work it out.
The Dakota Access Pipeline overnight. Protesters setting fires, as you can see right there, attempting to push past police barricades, forcing them to use water cannons and rubber bullets. Demonstrators fear a leak in the pipeline could contaminate the area's water supply. Meanwhile, in just a couple hours, we will find out when Chicago O'Hare airport workers will walk off the job. Their strike for higher wages set to happen this week, causing mass chaos at one of the busiest airports in America during the busiest travel week of the entire year. Great. All right, Ainsley?
Thanks, Steve. President-elect Donald Trump doubling down on his demand for the cast of Hamilton, the Broadway play, to apologize after Vice President-elect Mike Pence went out for a night on the town, but was greeted with boos and a lecture by one of the stars of the show.
We are the diverse America who are alarmed and anxious that your new administration will not protect us. But we truly hope that this show has inspired you to uphold our American values and to work on behalf of all of us.
So, President-elect Donald Trump tweets out this: the cast and producers of Hamilton, which I hear is highly overrated, should immediately apologize to Mike Pence for their terrible behavior. So should they step up and say, I'm sorry? Here to debate this is Infinity Bible Church pastor and author of the book Street God, Dimas Salaberios, along with the author of Con Job and ConservativeBlackChick.com, Crystal Wright. Thank you both for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be on. Hi, Crystal.
Hey, Crystal, I'll start with you. Crystal, what'd you think of it, and should the cast apologize?
They absolutely should apologize. People don't pay $800 a ticket to go see Hamilton to watch actors try to pretend like they're politicians. And Donald Trump is exactly right. It was rude to the vice president-elect. He was harassed at a curtain call. And he had his daughter there and cousins were there. They need to apologize. And we all know that if this was Barack Obama and the same thing had happened, all liberal, hell would break loose, right? They would be saying the guy needed to be fired. I mean, it's just outrageous. This actor basically called President-elect Pence and Vice President-elect Pence and President-elect Donald Trump bigots. I mean, it's just outrageous and unprecedented at a curtain call.
Dimas, I want to hear your opinion. I know you said during the commercial break, we were talking about this, it's not inappropriate, but what about the fact that it was embarrassing for him? He went to go see a play. He's supporting them. He's buying a ticket to pay for them. So where's the respect?
I mean, I think the booing is wrong, but I think what they said had great substance. I mean, I've been on the front line. I don't know where Crystal's at, but I've been on the front line down at Trump Plaza, praying with people, trying to help people through this whole crisis, and people are really concerned. I'm a conservative, but I feel like this is my city, it's New York City, and people speak up. This is not new. This has gone on for years. It's happened to Winston Churchill. It's happened to other presidents that have gone to different plays. I've been at plays myself, and Hamilton is a political play. I don't think that what they said was disrespectful. I think the crowd was booing, and they even tried to silence the crowd.
Well,
people are concerned.
You know where I'm at, which I find your comment to be incendiary. I'm a black American woman who voted for Donald Trump. Hope and change didn't do anything but change the country in the wrong direction. And it is unprecedented for actors after a play to give the audience a political racist lecture. You know what the actors need to do? They need to act like actors. They need to shut up, perform the play, take the curtain call, the bow, thank the audience for coming, and then walk off the stage. There's other forums for them to express their political activism. And, as it was said earlier, it was just rude to the vice president, the next vice president of this country. It was absolutely the wrong forum, period.
Well, I read a little bit up on you, and I saw how you were excited about Sessions being the next
you read
guy.
up on
over
me?
And over again.
Right,
you can
Sessions.
see the reality is that this. Can I talk, please?
Well, no, but don't say that you don't say.
Go ahead,
Senator
Crystal.
Sessions actually has advocated for civil rights for blacks to have jobs so illegal immigrants don't have jobs. He actually, when he was, I think, AG down in Alabama, made sure he prosecuted a Klansman.
Well, he also said that the Klan was right, and he also said that the NAACP is an un-American group. So if he's going to say that the NAACP, which allows you to vote right now and has moved you forward,
it doesn't. The NAACP has done nothing for me.
If he's allowed to move you forward, then hey, let's keep it real.
Dimas, that happened years ago. Sessions has apologized for it, and he prosecuted folks that were involved with the KKK. Hillary Clinton said her mentor out in California was a gentleman who was a recruiter for the KKK. So it's on both sides. That was a long time ago. Both have apologized and moved on, and hopefully our country can move on as well. We're going to have to leave it there.
Well, I hope so, but I don't see anybody black on the cabinet yet, and that's a concern for me.
Just the beginning. Just give him some time.
beginning.
Give him some time.
That's what I'm
Okay, well,
telling
like you.
people. I
there.
pray
It's
for
people
a
like
better.
you why Donald
I pray
Trump is
for
president.
a better nation. I pray for a better
I know, we
country,
all do.
and I
We all
pray
do.
that Trump shows some substance behind his
All right,
words.
we
He
hear
does
you.
show
All right,
substance.
thank you both,
Yep.
Demas and Crystal. We appreciate you being here. God bless you both. All right, next, Starbucks is all about tolerance unless you support Mr. Trump. The coffee giant's move to shut down the Trump Cup movement, and then he was deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan 12 times. Now an American hero about to get the surprise of a lifetime on live TV. This mortgage-free house for a guy who fought for our country deployed 12 times. So stick around.
Ohio was actually. Don't ask me how I knew. And then this is Ainsley. It was so heartening for this little girl to know there's another Ainsley on television.
Her name's Ainsley.
Right.
Hi,
and of course, most kids hug their moms when they see me. My last stop is December 9th. I'll be in Jacksonville at the Ritz Theater Museum. You go WOKV.com.
You're very fancy.
Yeah, to get passes.
All right,
yeah.
this was at my book signing this weekend on Saturday. That was in Northvale, New Jersey at Books and Greetings. That was an Ainsley who came to meet me. Her parents named her Ainsley. There was another little girl there named Ainsley, too. I was so touched.
Holy cow.
Yeah, there's the little Ainsley. The folks there in New Jersey, in your neck of the woods, Steve, are so nice. So I'm going home for Thanksgiving. I've got a signing at Little Lambs and Ivy, the cutest children's store, on Friday at 2 p.m. And then on Saturday, I've got Barnes & Noble at 1 p.m. in my hometown on Forest Drive. And then on December 10th, if you're in the Nashville area, Brentwood, Tennessee, come out to the Barnes & Noble. I will be there at 12 p.m.
We know you like to watch television because you're doing it right now, but if you like to read, a couple of great books.
I know. Thank y'all. Our producers are awesome for letting us talk about that because my fear is no one's going to show up. So please come out.
No, this is okay.
All right, let's hand it over to Heather, who has some headlines for us.
Good morning,
Good
Ainsley.
morning.
I'm so excited for you. And that
Thank
little store
you.
we talked about before you had your baby in Columbia, South Carolina.
That's right. Little Lambs and Ivy, the cutest
So
store.
happy for you. Congratulations. Good morning to all of you. Hope you had a terrific weekend. Let's start out with some difficult news to bring you right now. A frantic search for an abducted woman comes to a gruesome end. 69-year-old Sandra Harris. Her body was found on the side of a road days after a woman snatched her from her home in Washington State. Her suspected kidnapper was arrested on Sunday after negotiating a ransom with police. Investigators say that the women did know one another, but are not related. We'll bring you more on this story as we go. A Fox News alert right now breaking overseas. At least 28 people are dead and another 45 injured after a homicide bomber attacks a mosque in Afghanistan's capital. Children were among the victims, as happening in Kabul. Police say the bomber walked into a packed building during prayer services there. So far, no one has claimed responsibility. This comes a week after a blast at a nearby army base killed 4 Americans. A brewing controversy has coffee giant Starbucks speaking out this morning. The company reminding employees that they do not have to call out names or write those names on cups after this exchange prompted a protest in support of the president-elect.
Write my name on a drink just because I want Trump. I already spoke with corporate office. Corporate office said I can have any drink I want with any name I want on it. And you're refusing to do that, is that correct? Is that correct, Ryan? Yeah, it's one of the cops. You're welcome. You can call the cops.
Well, there you go. Mr. Trump supporters are now asking baristas to write his name on their coffee cups to let the company know that they are unhappy customers. But Starbucks says writing names on cups is a fun ritual and not a requirement at their stores. So what do you think about this debate? You know, they get the names wrong half the time anyway. Remember, we were Hainsley once when we ordered coffee. Heather and Ainsley.
As long as they get the coffee order right,
Yeah,
that's the key.
That's the key.
By the way, thank you for coffee today. Heather bought coffee.
She
for the whole
did.
staff.
You're welcome.
Delicious.
From Starbucks.
We have our coffee.
Let's see what the name is on this one.
This says
It didn't
Kelly.
put it on there.
Yeah.
All right, Janice is outside. We need to get you some coffee because it's
Some hot
clearly
coffee.
cold.
Oh my gosh, it's cold outside. It's 37 here in New York City.
Whoa.
Some of the coldest air of the season has arrived. Let's take a look at it. And we saw our first snow of the season across portions of the Great Lakes and the Northeast. Wind gusts in excess of 50 miles per hour along the coast with this low pressure center that is across New England. It's going to kind of linger and bring the potential for 6 to 12 inches of snow across the eastern Great Lakes and New England. I know there's a couple of complaints like, I had to clean off my car this morning. So give yourself a little extra time because you might have to clean off your car. You know who you are. Here are your temperatures across the country, 20s and 30s, and it's cold as far south as Florida is feeling this. Now, we do have a storm system we're going to be watching Tuesday and Wednesday that could bring some travel delays across the midsection. We could see some strong storms as well as snow and rain. So that's going to be the big area of concern as we head into the biggest travel week of the year. Back inside.
All right, Janice, thank you very much. The good news,
Janice, if you're not dressing appropriately, I don't know who is.
Good news about the snow yesterday. I didn't have to rake the leaves. Now it's time for some Fox and Friends trends.
If you had raked them, they would have blown everywhere because it was so windy yesterday. All right, one of music's biggest nights of the year takes a political turn. Watch this.
This is my Melania Trump impression. I love my husband, President Barack Obama.
Well, this morning, that impersonation now facing a viral social media backlash. Here with a look at what's trending is Fox News headlines reporter Carly Shimkus. Carly, I was looking online. A lot of people online, social media, say that that was flat out racist.
That's right. That was model Gigi Hadid. She hosted yesterday with a comedian. A lot of people... Exactly right, echoing that sentiment, saying that, you know, it's kind of unfair. What if that was Michelle Obama? Would she have done the same thing? So one person tweeting Melania Trump is going to be the future First Lady of the USA. This was the highest form of disrespect possible.
Well, I actually think that I don't see any racism in it.
The impersonation. Well, who even knows if it was her idea to do it? I mean, this is the first time she's ever done anything like this. I think she just sounded nervous.
Right. She's a supermodel. How do supermodels practice? They walk they usually just...
The catwalk?
What do they usually do?
They walk the catwalk and they keep their mouth closed and they look beautiful in clothes.
They look stunning all the time.
All right, you just heard that debate about Hamilton. What are people on social media saying?
A lot of people not happy. Hashtag boycott Hamilton became one of the top trending topics this weekend. Randy on Twitter wrote, Dear Mr. Pence, thank you for visiting. Please sit there so we can lecture you. We won't give you a chance to respond. Unfair. Elizabeth on Twitter writing, geez, now we can't even go to a lame Broadway play without being lectured. I guess it's time to boycott Hamilton. By the way, Pence won. And Tony on Twitter wrote, cast of Hamilton only tolerates a world where everyone looks different, but everyone thinks the same.
No, it turns out this actor is somebody who's an activist in the past. He's quoted as saying America was never great. He protested the pipeline. He was against the Clintons, and he's against, obviously, he wants to burn down Wall Street. The other thing is, it spread. It's now in Chicago. During the play in Chicago, a Trump supporter got up and stood up and shouted. See what he started?
And there's blowback, and people are not going to go see the play.
And of course,
they're going to go see that play.
No, some people are not. Some people are boycotting.
I know, but it's the most popular play in the history of man.
I think it's still going to hurt some ticket sales.
And well, Donald Trump, of course, is saying, please apologize now. And he is, kind of saying exactly what you were saying, Brian.
Speaking of ticket sales, you got to wonder if the next time you want to buy a Kanye West ticket, whether or not he's going to actually show up for the full show.
Yeah, people are very upset with Kanye West. Here's what happened. So on Saturday, he showed up to his show an hour late, then went on this long rant about Beyonce. Just take a listen. Yeah.
Google lied to you. Facebook lied to you. I'm on my Trump rocket. Obama couldn't make America great because he couldn't beat him to be who he was. Sometimes we be playing the politics too much and forgetting who we are.
Well, that was pretty much the whole show because he then performed like 2 songs and then dropped the mic and left.
10 minutes, right?
Yeah, so now the concert goers are getting a refund. That was on Saturday. He then canceled his Sunday show.
He also says he would have voted Trump and everyone started booing.
That's right. That was a big bombshell at a previous show.
No, he says he's running.
Voted Trump?
He didn't vote.
Yeah, he didn't vote.
Oh, he didn't vote.
But had he would have voted for Donald Trump.
There you go.
This is going to hurt his run for presidency. If he wants to run
We'll see. Yeah, so Kanye 2020.
All right.
Right. Kim Kardashian in the White House.
Carly, thank you very much.
That was great.
Run off to the radio, would you?
Sirius 115.
I think I'll do just that.
Not yet.
Meanwhile, straight ahead, is the Democrats' love affair with Nancy Pelosi over? She doesn't think so.
Without even asking anybody for a vote, I have over 2/3 of the caucus supporting me.
But one man who would like her job says it's time for a change. Democratic Congressman Tim Ryan's going to join us live next.
He's an impressive guy. Then he was deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan 12 times. Now an American hero about to get the surprise of his life on live TV. A mortgage-free home. Stick around.
vote, I have over 2/3 of the caucus supporting me. When it's a funny thing in a caucus or any place, when somebody challenges you, your supporters turn out, both internally in the caucus and in the country.
But Democratic Congressman Tim Ryan of Ohio, that guy right there, believes it's time for a change and is challenging Pelosi for House Minority Leader. He joins us right now from the Cannon Rotunda. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Okay, so there she is saying she's got 2/3 of the House Democrats on board. You spent the weekend calling folks up on the phone. What were they saying to you?
Well, I think there's an appetite for change within our caucus. I think people are saying, look, if there is 1/3 of the voters in our caucus, it's probably the 1/3 of the voters that are in the closest elections of anybody in our entire caucus. And I think that says something. But the question really is, you know, how bad does it have to get? I mean, we lost 68 seats since 2010. We have the lowest majority, or the lowest number we've had in our caucus since 1929, Steve. I mean, the question is, how bad does it have to get before we recognize we have a change? And there's a lot of working class people that are in congressional districts like mine that are black, white, brown, gay, straight, that want economic opportunity, and they don't see the Democratic Party as the party that's getting it to them.
All right. Tim, if you were made minority leader, what kind of changes will you bring that she doesn't have on the table right now?
Well, I think emphasis. You know, we talk about minimum wage, but people don't want a minimum wage job. I'm for an increase in the minimum wage, but that's not what people want. They want a middle class job. They want a job that they can earn a middle class living, have a solid pension, be able to go on vacation, and then also have the work-life balance to where they're not, you know, working 80 hours a week to make ends meet. I think within our caucus, we're not tapping into the talent that we have in our caucus. People feel bottlenecked, like they don't have an opportunity. We need to raise the profile of these young Democrats and give them a platform to be rock stars in our party.
So you're talking about bread and butter issues, things to put money into people's pockets. The big question, though, Tim, is this. Are you willing to negotiate with the Republicans? I mean, you look at Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid over the last number of years. You know, they seem to have been obstructionists. Nothing got done in the U.S. Senate.
Well, it depends on what the issue is. And I've said this before. If Donald Trump's going to defund Planned Parenthood, privatize Medicare, you know, just simply cut taxes for the top 1% and throw people off their health care, he's going to be in a street fight with a kid from the Youngstown area.
What about infrastructure?
That's how that's going to work.
What about a great big jobs program that they're talking about to offset the tax?
If we're going to get people back to work, we're going to sit down and we're going to talk to them. But what I've been reading about the infrastructure bill is it may be a little gimmicky. It may be a giveaway. I haven't seen the details, so I don't want to comment too much. But if we're going to get working class people back to work, building things, moving and making America the advanced manufacturing capital of the world, where we're exporting things, where people are making things, and we can drive those jobs into coal country and places like Youngstown, Ohio, then, you know, we're going to sit down and talk and try to make that happen. And I think that's the direction we can go in. But if he doesn't, if he goes down another direction, he's going to have a fight on his hands.
Ultimately, that's a negotiation, though, isn't it?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's the process.
Yeah,
but
that's the process.
I'm laying out for my colleagues the fact that we don't have to give away our values or our principles. I'm willing to take Trump on. You know, I spent my life coming up through a pretty rough area politically, and I know how to do that. And then, but we also need a positive vision for where we're going, and it's about these middle-class jobs.
Sure.
It's about the people in Youngstown who've had a rough time making ends meet because of the national. I think what's happened nationally, we got to help them out.
Well, the big election there in the Democratic caucus is November 30th. Tim Ryan of Ohio, good luck to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. By the way, Nancy Pelosi, if you're watching, you'd like to come on and make your case, we've got 3 hours a day, just saying. Meanwhile, he was deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan 12 times, now an American hero about to get the surprise of his life. Pete Hegseth is live in his hometown. Coming up. Pete?
Much, now getting something back.
U.S. Bank and Freedom Alliance are about to present the keys to a mortgage-free house. Could you imagine? To a very deserving veteran, and it is happening in Pete Hegseth's hometown.
All right, Pete joins us right now with retired Army Staff Sergeant Marco Milosevic and his family. Good morning, Pete.
That's right. Good morning, Steve. It's a really exciting morning here in Forest Lake, Minnesota, which is my hometown. We have the great honor and opportunity to give away a home, as you said, to an amazing Army Ranger veteran, Staff Sergeant Marko Milosevic, and his lovely wife, Samantha, and their 3 kids are still sleeping in the hotel. We pulled them outside. They're just around the corner from the house. They'll see it. We're going to reveal it live. But, Marko, tell me a little bit about your service in the Army.
Well, I joined the Army in April of 2001, right before September 11th. I was just going to do my 4 years and kind of get my college money and get out. But 9/11 happened when I was in airborne school, and then the Ranger recruiter came around and said, who wants to go to war? And I decided as an 18-year-old young man that sounded like something I'd like to do.
And you did more than go to war. How many tours to Iraq and Afghanistan?
I spent about 50 months between Iraq and Afghanistan, 12 separate deployments. 50
months, 12 separate deployments,
yes,
on the ground, combat operations. Samantha, you're now, he's home, you're a spouse. What's it like to be a caretaker of a veteran?
You know, it's difficult at times, but it's a learning experience. I mean, he's the reason why I'm actually going to get my RN, and then I'm going for my physical therapy aid.
Yep.
So, you know, I was a caretaker through the VA. I didn't get to learn a lot on how to take care of my husband.
Sure.
So now I'm taking it into my own hands.
Well, and now you're about to be entering your own home, which
Yes.
we're so excited to be doing today. Your kids are going to be with us, and then we're going to reveal it live on Fox and Friends to America. I couldn't think of someone more deserving than you.
Thank you, sir.
Brian, Steve, and Ainsley, it's going to be a really exciting morning here. We're honored to do it. U.S. Bank and Freedom Alliance are partnering with it, and it'll be a special moment, so I think folks are going to want to stick around.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Pete.
If anyone deserves it, he does.
It's going to be great.
So many tours.
In Pete's hometown.
Yeah.
All right, coming up on this Monday morning, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio has no problem losing millions of dollars to protect illegals in New York City. But when it comes to paying to protect the next president, no money in the budget.
Right.
Help.
For adults with advanced non-small cell lung cancer.
To you and your family, it's November 21st, 2016. I'm Ainsley Earhart, and we start with this. It's a Fox News alert. Police officers, they are under attack in our country. 4 cops shot across the country in a matter of hours. 2 of them ambushed. The breaking details just in.
Terrible. Meanwhile, the president-elect building his entourage with the help of a Hollywood heavyweight. Why was he meeting with entertainment agent Ari Emanuel, who was portrayed as Ari Gold on the TV show?
I get it. Entourage.
That's right. The brother of some of President Obama's closest confidants. The details from inside the Trump transition coming up.
That'll be something to look forward to. And just call it the Un-American Music Awards.
I love my husband, President Barack Obama, and our children, Sacha and Malia.
They're spot on! All right, the entertainment elite at it again, but this time, was it too far? Well, Donald Trump tweeted about it during our show.
Hope so.
And keep this in mind, your mornings are better with friends.
We start the 7 o'clock Eastern hour with a Fox News alert. Police under attack. 4 officers shot in 3 different states in a matter of hours. The attacks, brutal and desperate, carried out by gunmen who wanted simply, perhaps, to kill cops.
Heather Nauert is live with the breaking details. Heather?
Such a horrific weekend for our police officers, and we are still praying for some of them, as at least one is in the hospital this morning. There is a massive manhunt that is now underway in San Antonio, Texas at this hour for the gunman who shot and killed 50-year-old police detective Benjamin Marconi. He was sitting in his police cruiser just writing a ticket when a man drove up behind him in a black sedan, walked over to his window, and shot him twice in the head. San Antonio police say they are now questioning a person of interest, and they are asking for help identifying this man. Take a close look. Police believe he may know something. And then St. Louis, a veteran police sergeant targeted by a gunman who also pulled alongside his cruiser, shooting him twice in the face.
Targeted because he was a police officer. This tells you how dangerous of a job it is and tells you how much we have to appreciate our police officers.
Well, the suspect suspected gunman was tracked down and killed in a shootout with police officers later. The St. Louis sergeant is in critical condition but is expected to survive. And then 2 other officers also shot overnight during traffic stops in Sanibel, Florida and Gladstone, Missouri. Both are expected to be okay. Such a tragedy. We'll keep you posted on any developments as we pray for those families this morning. Now some extreme weather. We are starting to feel it here in the Northeast. The first deep freeze of the season. Look at this from upstate New York. Temperatures plunging into the 20s and some snow there. The cold front bringing that snow and wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour, knocking out power for thousands in upstate New York as these pictures come in for Rochester. Forecasters now expecting up to 2 feet of snow in the Adirondacks by tonight. Wow. President Obama returning to the White House overnight from his final trip overseas. While he was in Peru, the president saying he will step aside quietly, but admits there's a limit to his silence if President-elect Trump breaches what Mr. Obama calls values or ideals.
If I think that it's necessary or helpful for me to defend those ideals, then I'll examine it when it comes.
Well, the president also meeting face-to-face with his Russian President Vladimir Putin. They talked about the Ukraine, the rare conversation lasting about 4 minutes. We don't know what was said. And new overnight tensions reach a boiling point as protesters clash over the Dakota Access Pipeline. Hundreds of people setting fires and trying to push past police barricades. Demonstrators fear a leak in the pipeline could contaminate the area's water supply. The North Dakota police forced to use water cannons, pepper spray, and rubber bullets in what's being called an ongoing riot. At least 1 person was arrested overnight. So some of these protesters say they're concerned about the environment, and then they set fire.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. Thanks.
Thank you, Heather.
Thanks.
All right. Meanwhile, President-elect Donald Trump's transition team back in New York City this morning looking to fill those coveted cabinet positions.
That's right. Mr. Trump packing his schedule with interviews, job interviews, as we learned that he could call on some former rivals to serve.
Kristen Fisher live in the nation's capital with the potential picks. Kristen.
It was almost like speed dating, right?
Yeah.
Over the weekend, Mr. Trump met with more than 20 people that he's considering possibly for his cabinet or for senior advisor roles or other advisor roles. Some people are his friends, like New Jersey Governor Chris Christie and former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, but others were some of his biggest critics during the campaign. Today, the president-elect is set to meet with someone who once called him a cancer on conservatism, the former governor of Texas, Rick Perry. And on Saturday, he met with one of the leaders of the Never Trump movement, a man who once called him a fraud, Mitt Romney. And now he's being considered for Secretary of State. Now, another name that emerged this weekend as a top contender for Trump's cabinet is retired Marine Corps General James Mattis. Trump said on Twitter, quote, General James Mad Dog Mattis, who is being considered for Secretary of Defense, was very impressive yesterday, a true general's general. So after 2 days of nonstop meetings at his private golf club in New Jersey, here's how Mr. Trump summed it up.
Really fantastic days. Had tremendous talent, tremendous people, and I think we have some really incredible people going to be working for the country to make America great again.
As for when he would announce his next cabinet or senior advisor pick, all he would say is soon. Maybe today, though. Brian Ainsley and Steve.
Wow. You never know. Kristen, thank you very much.
Go ahead.
What I was going to say is on Friday, it was announced that they would be announcing they have 3 different buckets of transition teams, these landing teams. They were going to announce the first one on Friday, which they did. They said they would announce the next one today for the economy, and then another one on Wednesday. So today, maybe in the next hour, because that's when it came down last Friday.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that went there. There aren't big names, but they matter a lot. John Gray, Wilbur Ross, Chris Kobach, Governor Chris Christie, and Robert Johnson, who founded the BET network. He says, I don't belong to a political party, but I definitely want to hear what Donald Trump has to say, because we definitely need some diversity in the cabinet.
You'd have to have diversity. That's what the left is begging him to do.
Well, I think they should. I don't care who begs
them. I think they should, too.
Meanwhile, here's what General Mattis, who seems to be the front runner as Secretary of Defense, although even some people have talked about today Governor Perry going to meet and Secretary of Defense position could be offered to him. He is a no-nonsense Marine who would go in a foxhole with Marines. He talks to everyday Marines, not just the high-ranking ones. He says this. These are some of his quotes that stand out. You are part of the world's most feared and trusted force. Engage your brain before you engage your weapon. And this is even more blunt.
He said, be polite, be professional, but have a plan to kill everybody you meet.
Yeah, he's a tough guy.
He is a tough guy. He was, he left probably his career a little early. The administration,
2013.
They didn't trust him because he was too eager for military confrontation with Iran. He would need a waiver from Congress because you have to have been out of the service for 7 years. He's been out for 3 years, although some on Capitol Hill say if he wants that job, a waiver, not going to be a problem.
General Jack Keane said on a radio show that he was offered the job, our own General Jack, and he turned it down. For personal reasons.
Well, Mattis, in this article I was reading about him, says he's very experienced with Islamic terrorists and insurgents. He once told a group of surrendered Iraqi officers that if they messed with him, he would kill them all.
There you go.
Right.
All right. So
Today,
will he be the guy? Stand by. In the meantime, last night at the Microsoft Theater out in Hollywood, it was the American Music Awards. As it turns out, not very, well, some have suggested that it was an anti-Trump show. And we're going to play a little montage of some of the performers. The first one you're going to see is a woman by the name of Gigi Hadid. She is a model. And the internet has lighted up because they say she absolutely savaged Melania Trump with a racist impersonation. Was it? Take a look. You be the judge. Plus some other highlights and lowlights from the show.
This is my Melania Trump impression. Okay, I got the face right.
Okay.
I love my husband, President Barack Obama, and our children, Sacha and Malia.
Y'all didn't know this, but he's also Donald Trump's favorite artist. I heard him say it.
He was like, listen, I love Bruno Mars. I don't know what color he is, so I can't deport him. I mean, everyone, look, he looks like Mowgli from the Jungle Book, he does. All right, listen everyone, I love Uptown Funk. It was all totally about me. It was originally called Uptown Trump. Listen, I'm gonna funk this country up bigly.
No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA.
Unbelievable.
They all get so political. You know, just sing your songs, just walk the runway. I mean, really? Do people care about these celebrities and what they think? Hillary Clinton brought out all these celebrities. It didn't help her. The average American cannot relate to them.
But I would say I didn't think it was racist. I just thought she made an impression of Melania Trump. She sounded like him. They're both supermodels. I don't think it was racist. I think even the Trump family would be like, everyone's got to back off with that accusation.
There are a lot, Brian, who do feel it was racist. I'm looking at Facebook and whatnot this morning. Bev's on Facebook. She said if there was an award for the worst AMAs, American Music Awards, in history, this show would take it hands down. Disgraceful display.
Bridget on Twitter, she wrote, boring, unoriginal, and all the creativity of a junior high mean girl.
Ooh. Another one to cross off my list. This has been a great election to help me decide which celebrities and musicians to stop watching or listening to. Bye Bye Green Day.
Oh boy,
it's been a while since they've had a hit. Anyway,
it has been.
But you factor that in with Bruce Springsteen having a tweet, and a lot of people getting on him because he had an anti-Trump tweet out there. And then you see what happened with Hamilton. This guy decides to break character and read from a script to excoriate Vice President Mike Pence when you think he can go to the theater and just have a good time. And then all of a sudden you see what's happened in Chicago. In Chicago, you have a guy stand up in the balcony and start screaming, Trump won, you're a sore loser. He gets tossed out of the thing. But you see when a guy like Kaepernick takes a knee, everyone's like, what's the big deal? And then you have high school teams doing it. You have somebody on the stage read to Mike Pence. Then a bunch of Trump supporters are going to get up. You're blowing up everything.
It's just, what if Hillary Clinton had won, though, and they had gotten on stage? What if, like, right-wingers would have gotten on stage and made fun of her? It would have been all over the mainstream media. People would have stopped watching those celebrities. But then when it's the flip side, they get away with it, and it's fine.
You know, the irony is Alexander Hamilton was an immigration hawk who wanted to deport the troublemakers. And so for him to make that statement after that,
a little ironic.
A little ironic. Anyway, what do you think? Let us know. It's 7:12 now here in New York City on this Monday morning. The mainstream media going after President-elect's picks for Attorney General, calling Senator Jeff Sessions a racist. Our next guest, William Smith, is the first African-American chief counsel on the Senate Judiciary Committee, worked with him, and guess who hired him? That's right, Senator Sessions. He joins us live next. The story you won't see anywhere else. Coming up.
My friends think doing this at my age is scary. And I say, not if you protect yourself. What is scary? Pneumococcal pneumonia. It's a serious disease. My doctor said the risk is greater. Now that I'm over 50! Yeah!
Just one dose of the Prevnar 13 vaccine can help protect you from pneumococcal pneumonia.
Harshest allegations are that Sessions is, as we said, racially insensitive. Some critics say racist.
And Sessions, as Attorney General,